Welcome to the ChargePoint podcast, brought to you by FlexiCharge, your gateway to the future of EV charging. In each episode, we dive deep into the world of EV infrastructure, offering insights and perspectives from industry leaders, innovators, and the people at the forefront of deploying charging solutions and networks. Join us to explore the exciting developments that are accelerating our world towards sustainable mobility.
Welcome back to a new exciting episode of the ChargePoint podcast. I'm your host, Christophe. Today I'm diving into a topic that is transforming the energy ecosystem faster than anyone expected: flexibility. As EV adoption accelerates and renewable energy reshapes the grid, the big question for charging infrastructure owners is no longer if flexibility will matter, but how to turn it into a competitive advantage. And there is one company that has been pioneering this field from the start: Flower, the next generation energy company using AI, machine learning, and one of Europe's most advanced virtual power plants to keep the grid stable while unlocking new revenue for asset owners. In just 5 years, Flower has grown from 5 people to more than 140, expanding to multiple European markets, and now controls over 20,000 EV chargers, AC mostly, large-scale batteries, and renewables through its VPP platform, all working together to balance the grid in real time. Today, I'm joined by someone who sits right at the center of this transformation, My Näslund, business developer at Flower. We'll unpack how flexibility markets work, how EV chargers and co-located BESS are becoming powerful grid assets, the misconceptions that hold many CPOs back, and why now is the perfect time to join a VPP. We'll also talk about our joint pilot with Recharge, where Flower and FlexiCharge are unlocking new revenues from co-located batteries without compromising charging experience. If you're a CPO, infrastructure developer, or simply curious about where the future of EV charging and the energy transition is heading, this is the episode that will give you clarity, inspiration, and honestly, a glimpse of the future. Let's dive in. Diving into today's conversation from Flower, I have a guest. It's me who's responsible for business development. Welcome to the ChargePoint podcast.
Thank you. Really happy to be here and also be included in today's episode.
Thank you. Yeah, it was about time. An exciting company you're working for. So as always, let's start with your backstory. Can you give us a bit of your background? From your first opportunities and how you came and ended up at Flower.
Yes, of course. My background is that I have a Master of Science in Engineering with a specialization in energy system. And I've been working now for about 6 years within the energy business. And I started as a management consultant at a consultancy firm, working with different energy-related assignments. But actually, I've always had my eyes on Flower since they started, because I think they are doing really cool stuff and very important stuff. And then I wasn't really ready to change my position until about 2 years ago. And then Flower was applying for a business developer role, which I applied for. And I got the job. So that's how I ended up at Flower. So been working now at Flower for about 1.5 years.
Mm-hmm. Excellent. So, that's fantastic. Congratulations. If you have your eyes on a company and you end up there. So, you had your eyes on them, been there for 6 years. Can you refresh us on a bit on Flower, also the story? Because I'm always interested in kind of a startup, scale-up story. So when was it started?
So Flower was started and founded in 2020 in Sweden. Mm-hmm. And Flower is a next generation energy company using AI and machine learning to make renewable energy more stable and always available. Mm-hmm. And we do this through smart optimization and trading of energy assets like wind and solar farms and battery systems, but also EV chargers. Because as more renewables enter the grid, the energy system is becoming more unpredictable. Mm-hmm. And we develop the technology that makes the transition to renewable powered future possible.
Absolutely, yeah. It's definitely one of the biggest opportunities and challenges. Yeah, as we get more renewable, and we're dreaming of 100% renewable in Europe. Yeah, we have to manage this volatility. Yeah, it's
Exactly.
absolutely, yeah. So 2020 from zero, and so fast forward 5 years later. How many employees today are you, colleagues?
Yeah, so during these 5 years, we've grown from a small startup company. I think we were 5 when they started the company, and now we've grown to over 140 employees. And we also have a wide range of nationalities. I think we're over 25 nationalities working within the company.
Fantastic.
And yes,
and in terms of market,
it's quite a journey.
It's quite a journey. Would like to understand also, that's another episode about the culture. How do you maintain and build a culture from 5 to 140 in 5 years? It's some challenge. And in terms of market penetration and presence, can you tell us a bit more about where you're operating?
Yeah, we started in Sweden, as I mentioned, but now also moving into Europe. So today we're active in Sweden and Denmark and Finland and Germany, but we are also expanding to Belgium, France, and Austria and the Netherlands.
All right. Watch out, here they come. Yeah, exactly. So interesting market. Yeah, I guess you definitely a force to reckon with coming from Sweden there. Though again, we see also local companies starting, but you already managed to be international. So impressive. So now let's dive into
very exciting.
Yeah, let's dive into the hardcore topics. So let's try to really help our audience to really understand virtual power plants. So for all our listeners who may not be super familiar, can you explain in simple terms what a virtual power plant is, and explain how the flexibility markets work and are structured, basically, right?
Yeah, I will try. A virtual power plant, also sometimes called the VPP, it's like a digital platform, like Flowers platform, that connects different energy assets and coordinate them to act like one big flexible power plant. So it's essentially like a normal power plant, but virtual. And the virtual power plant can be used to support the grid when it needs it. So the basics of it is that the grid needs to be in balance all the time, like every second. And this balance means that the amount of electricity being produced has to match the amount being consumed. And if we have imbalances, for example, if the wind is blowing and we have a lot of wind power production, but not so much consumption at the moment, then we get a surplus of electricity in the system. And this surplus affects the frequency in the system. Mm-hmm. So it gets a bit technical here, but
please.
The electricity or the electrical grid operates as a stable frequency when it's in balance. And the Nordic countries, that means the frequency is around 50 hertz. Mm-hmm. And if production and consumption doesn't match, then the frequency shifts, and that can cause problems in the energy system. So if we get too large deviations, this can result in large errors or blackouts, or that equipment breaks. So it can have a huge negative effect on society. And then it's the transmission system operator, the TSO, that mm-hmm. operates the grid on a mm-hmm. transmission level. And they have the responsibility of making sure that we have a balanced transmission system. And for this, the TSO have different markets for frequency supporting services, like FCR and FFR and FRR. And these are all shortages for frequency containment reserve, fast frequency response, and fast restoration reserve. So yes, the different kind of markets, and this is then on the transmission and national level. But then there's also markets on a local grid level, and they are usually run by the distribution network operator, the DNO, or also called the DSO, and they manage the distribution of electricity in the local parts of the grid. So there are different markets on different level for different purposes. Mm-hmm. And Flower has a big portfolio of assets that we have connected to our platform that we can use for these grid supporting services and use these assets to trade on these different markets. So I think today we have like 280 megawatts in flexibility, mm-hmm. And the portfolio is also growing. As we talked about, we're also growing and building a pipeline across Europe.
Yeah, can you elaborate on the type of assets and how much capacity they have, for example? Are we talking grid scale batteries, smaller batteries? Is it data centers? Can you describe a bit what kind of assets you have?
Yeah, of course. So the largest part of our portfolio is large scale batteries. And we also have wind and solar coming into the portfolio now. And we have some demand response, like energy consuming units. And that today we have a greenhouse connected to our platform, mm-hmm. but also EV chargers. Mm-hmm. And today we have, I think it's over 20,000 EV chargers connected to the platform that we are trading with.
Right, yeah. So that's already in place, yeah. And but so maybe it's would it be right to say that EV chargers are kind of a new asset, right, versus others which been there for some years, right? So there's a trend of uptake on EV chargers being part of a VPP. So why do you think that now is a good time for EV charging infrastructure to integrate with VPPs?
Good question. I would say that EV adoption is really booming, and charging has become a major new load on the electricity grid. Mm-hmm. But it can also be seen as a powerful source of flexibility if it's used in a smart way. And also now the grid is under more pressure than ever due to the rapid shift towards renewables. And we see a lot of new challenges related to this transition. And that makes flexible demand, like EV charging, crucial to maintain the balance. Yeah. And also the tech is finally ready, like smart chargers and connectivity, and platforms like Flowers make it easy to participate in flexibility markets without affecting the user experience. So what used to be like just an energy consuming unit that drives costs can now instead become a revenue stream and a grid supporting asset.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. And I would add to that personally that, EV infrastructure integrating into VPP, that means both the charger, but also the batteries, which are being deployed for purposes of operational purposes on the sites. And those can also be already, a lot of experience being integrated to VPP. So it's a combination of both for CPOs and EV charging infrastructure owners. Yeah, it's a great time. It's a great opportunity.
For sure.
Yeah. So maybe what would be to keep on educating and clearing out some misconceptions. So what are the biggest misconceptions about participating in the flexibility markets that you hear out there when you talk to people?
Maybe that it's hard and complex, and that it comes with a lot of risk, and maybe also that it affects user experience. But I would say that that's not true, because it's easy to integrate to our platform, and we have also done studies on user experience and how our trading affects the asset behavior. And when we looked at the total duration, or like the total activation time, when we need to activate, for example, a battery or a EV chargers, over a full year, it was like 3 to 4 days in total. And that is like 1% of the 365 days we have in a year. So it's not much at all, but you still get paid for being available all of those days.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, interesting. So that's a good transition to to honing in on the benefits for EV charging infrastructure owners or CPOs. So what specific financial benefits can they expect when they participate in flexibility markets?
Yeah, and that's a typical question
Yeah.
when you're talking about the VPP services. But yeah, like the benefits, of course, are the financial ones, but you also, these services, and by participating on these markets, you also at the same time contribute to the green transition. So that benefit should not be left out. But if we're talking revenue, and so E.ON Switch, that is one of the active markets for local flexibility in Sweden. They have presented some numbers recently on the revenue potential, and for a 300 kilowatt volume of asset, which in their example was heat pumps and EV chargers, and 60 hours of availability, that would correspond to around 5,500 euros. And that's only for being available during those 60 hours.
Yeah.
And then you also get paid for the activation. So if the asset needs to be activated during those 60 hours, you also get paid for the activation. And today that is currently around 400 euros per megawatt hour. So it's actually a quite good revenue potential here. And I also know that the demand is much higher than the volume of local flexibility that is provided on these markets today, at least in Sweden. So there's actually a great revenue potential.
Yeah. Again, I would, as a disclaimer here, I would agree with you. And it's not just transposable to any market in Europe or in the world. I think there are some specificities, as you said, with volatility. I know for sure that, for example, in France, it's not at all the same potential. Again, because the mix and the grid is completely different, right? So, but thanks for the ballpark figure. Before we continue with the show, let me tell you about an exciting masterclass about the VPP project with Recharge that you shouldn't miss. Our own CTO, Robert Brehm, explained how the first ever virtual power plant for public fast charging works, the benefits, the beautiful technology underlying, and how other CPOs can follow. Don't miss the inside story. Register for the masterclass now on our website. So how can participation in a VPP, help CPO address grid constraints, such as now really common in the Netherlands or the part of Europe?
So that's part of the basics with the local flex markets that I mentioned a bit before. So these are markets that are on a local grid level, helping to reduce grid constraints in special regions where the grid is especially constrained. And I would say that EVs are very much suitable to participate on these markets, on the local flex markets, because they can pause or reduce their consumption and thereby reduce the load on the grid. Logic,
exactly. Yeah. Could you give us an example of a successful project where VPP integration helped a CPO generate new revenues?
Of course. We see a big potential within this segment, and we're also looking into expand within this segment. And we have now initiated a dialogue with FlexiCharge and one of your CPOs, Recharge, that is building co-located batteries for some of their sites. And we are now doing a pilot together for 2 of these sites, where Flower will control and trade with the batteries. So we also see this as a trend among CPOs, that you build co-located batteries to support the site. And so that is also an asset that could be used for trading and generating extra revenue for the site.
Yeah, exactly.
So it's really
Sorry,
Yeah,
please
really
continue.
exciting. Yeah,
it is absolutely. Yeah, it's an expansion of a project. If I may add that we started with EV chargers as assets, and then we came in dialogue with you. And as I said earlier, it's a combination for CPOs. It's not just the chargers and not just the batteries. Of course, it's a combination of both, and maximizing the value and leveraging the value stacking of the batteries on the site. It's a fantastic topic, and we're super excited about this pilot. There'll be more about this. Let's take a look at the technical and market challenges. So can you talk a bit through the key technical requirements that a CPO must meet to participate in a VPP, without being too technical, but give us some high level answers?
Yeah, some high level. There are some volume thresholds and minimum bid sizes. Minimum bid size requirements for each market. Like FCR and local flex, you need 0.1 megawatt, and for MFRR, you need 1 megawatt. But there's also some activation and duration requirements, which differs between the markets. For example, FFR is what we call a fast market, and then you need to be able to activate within like 1 second. But for MFRR, the requirement is to be 100% active within 15 minutes. So that's quite a range. But yeah, and there's also some markets where you need to be able to do both upward and downward frequency regulation, which means that you need to be able to both charge and discharge towards the grid. So these different requirements make some assets more or less suitable for the different markets. Like, for example, the batteries are really good for all markets, but EVs might be restricted to some markets due to that the most common way to participate is to pause or reduce the charging. But also we have the new technology, the vehicle-to-grid technology that is developing, and this new technology also opens up for participation in more markets for EV chargers.
Oh yes. That's going to be quite fantastic, yeah. And at the time of recording here in June, there was this announcement by Octopus Energy yesterday, pretty exciting, with BYD, right? On the
Exactly.
Owning a car for $299 per month, and with a V2G charger. I think it was from Zaptec Go. Well done, guys, at Zaptec. And that's exactly the future, right? Where the trading, your car is trading at home. Absolutely, very exciting opportunity. So if we look at those technical requirements, as you were talking about, this reaction of 1 second, the fast market. And by the way, there's an article on our blog about the different markets for those who want to understand a bit the time differences. So from your view, so why is then load and energy management platforms like FlexiCharge, Harmony, for example, or others, an important enabler of this participation?
Yeah, so I would say very important, because it simplifies the integration work for Flower. Because you have your, for example, the FlexiCharge Harmony platform. You have a lot of different CPOs connected, and each CPOs has a lot of chargers with different brands, and so by integrating towards you, we can reach a wide charging network. So we could also integrate directly towards the charger, like integrate towards Zaptec or EC, but that would require a separate integration towards each brand. But instead, we can integrate towards your platform and reach a lot of chargers. Yeah. So it's an easy way for us to grow our portfolio of assets and include them in our trading portfolio.
Yeah. I would maybe also mention, if you agree, but since you mentioned this fast market, right? If it's the reaction is within 1 second, and you're talking about the end user experience also, I think again here it's important that if you don't have a rock solid load management that reacts, so when you have to deliver, otherwise you get a penalty, right? Is that correct? Instead of making money, right? So you have to deliver, you have to react, the chargers have to react within the second as agreed, and as for the end user at the plug without disrupting it, so it feels suddenly that the power is dropping by 50% because you're probably at a fast charging hub, so you're here to charge fast, right? So that's that's I would say mention a bit of praise of what we do is this fine, I would say, reaction time and without disrupting. So it's just shaving a little bit of the power capacity, so people still have a fast charging experience. Yes. All right. A last point on in this section of our discussion. So, are there regulatory or market challenges that make it harder for smaller or mid-sized CPOs to join VPPs? And then, yes, how are you addressing them? How can they address them?
I would maybe say the minimum bid size. That could restrict an asset owner for participating on the different markets. But Flower's platform enables participation for smaller assets as well, because we can aggregate them and trade with them as an aggregated group.
Great. Are there also constraints on changing provider or switching provider?
The second one could be that you need to change your retailer agreement, because Flower needs to be the BRP to access all markets. And that could also be something that we usually feel that the CPOs or the asset owner, they are tied to their electricity agreement or their retailer, and they don't want to switch. But if we can be the BRP, then we can also earn more money.
Yes.
So for us, that's also our strategy, to be the BRP for all the assets that we trade with.
Good. That's good to mention. Thanks. So let's start to look a bit ahead. So we mentioned your presence in several markets. So let's come back to this expansion. It's always interesting to understand. So what new markets are you looking at when it comes to flexibility trading, and why? Maybe are you looking at those markets in particular?
So Flower is active on all the Nordic TSO markets today, except for IFRR, due to some high security requirements. And during this year, we actually went live on MFR and also day ahead. And we are now also doing pilots for intraday trading. And we are also including Local Flex in the pilot with Recharge. So looking to those markets more as well, because we see a great potential there. And we are also focusing a lot on making our MMO even better, which is our multi-market optimization, where we trade and we always place bids on the market that is most economically favorable for each hour. So I would say the Flower's strength lies in our MMO and our ability to maximize the revenue for the assets that we include in our MMO and in our trading portfolio.
And in terms of geographies, I mean, as I mentioned, I think I came with an example with a market which is maybe not so interesting. France, I don't know if your analysis would confirm the same, but what are the interesting markets that you're looking into? And can you talk a bit through this?
Looking to expand into Europe, as I mentioned in the beginning. And then we recently became balance responsible party in Germany. So we are now looking at projects to have our first assets optimized in Germany. And also the same in Finland. We're also a balance responsible party in Finland. And we are trading assetless in Finland at the moment, but also looking into finding projects so we can have also assets that we trade with. So I would say that that's our focus for the coming year. But then also the markets that I mentioned are also like next in line, because we see a great potential there as well.
Yeah. Was the UK also part of the list of countries you're looking into?
We've looked a lot into UK due to this new role that they have, which makes it easier for to be a supplier of flex services. Mm-hmm. So that's also an interesting market for us, looking to that more ahead.
Okay, so they've changed the regulation, or they revisited the role of so it's easier now to establish a business within flexibility. Is that what you're saying?
Exactly. There's I don't really remember the combination of letters, but there was that you in Sweden it is that you need to be the BRP, but now you could be some kind of standalone supplier of flex services, so it's easier to participate on the markets. So that also makes it an interesting market to look more into.
Okay, very interesting. Yeah. So I think you mentioned a bit about the MMO being multi-market optimizer being one of your strengths, and can you maybe looking ahead, what's kind of upcoming services from the platform can we expect coming from Flower? I think you mentioned one, the green base load when we prepared. Can you explain a bit more what it is?
Yes, so a great example of upcoming new services is our green base load. Mm-hmm. And this is, I would say, it's an electricity contract for businesses where we take on the previously unmanaged risk of renewables, mm-hmm. such as what happens when the wind doesn't blow. Mm-hmm. And then traditional renewable electricity contracts often leave that risk to the consumer or the producer, mm-hmm. leading to extra costs or uncertainty. But with our green baseload, we mitigate that risk using our technology and our connected assets. And this ensures renewable electricity can be supplied more stable and reliable and cost efficient. Mm. So, I think this is really cool and something that really is needed to be able to have all the wind and solar production in our electricity system. And Flower has developed a solution to manage just that.
Yeah. So you could imagine, if I try to expand to the CPO business, would be like maybe saying, we guarantee you get green electricity when you're charging at our station, right? And that would help.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. And we also then, so it's also like a price hedge that you get green electricity for, and you also get it for a price. So you have, your costs, yes. your upcoming costs,
which can be nice. Absolutely, yeah. When you're when you're chasing profitability, absolutely, yeah. So, how do you see the role of VPPs evolving in the European EV charging market over the next 3-5 years? Let's do a bit of crystal ball. What do you see?
So EV is, as I said before, it's booming, as we know. And I think as CPOs and asset owners becomes more aware of these types of services and that they exist, and that they maybe also realize that it's not that complex, I think that this will boom as well, like in all over Europe. So we have some large players doing this in the UK, as you mentioned, Octopus Energy, for example, and now Flower is going global as well. So I think we will soon have some well-established players for this. And also we have new grid tariffs that are introduced, and the cost becomes higher. So I think more CPOs and asset owners will look for additional revenue streams and ways to cut their costs, and contributing with grid services is a way to do just that.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I agree with those perspectives. So if you could give one piece of advice to a CPO or an infrastructure owner that is still unsure about whether VPP participation is worth the effort, what would it be?
I would say as a CPO, you have a lot of flexible assets, which you can use actively to support the green energy transition. And at the same time, you can make money. So the technology is ready and Flower is ready. So I'm like, what are you waiting for?
Exactly.
Just do it.
Yeah, it's exactly. So what are you waiting for? I think we could make a campaign around this. Yeah, absolutely. You're leaving money on the table. So, and personally, so what excites you most about working at this intersection of energy, flexibility, and e-mobility?
My answer to that is being a part of making this green transition happen, and also accelerating these new types of services and technologies that is needed for it to happen. It's really fun being in the middle of that. And also I think it's really exciting with what we can do with all these new types of technologies. And there's a great potential that is still untapped. So I'm really looking forward to see where we are in like 5 years from now.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Could be fun, absolutely, to catch up in 5 years. We have no idea. 5 years in this industry is like decades, right? Things are moving so fast. So but I hope we'll be in touch in 5 years, and having grown both companies. And well, on that note, thank you very much, Mi, for joining today. I'll share the link to your profile for the listeners who want to get in touch with you in the show notes. My Näslund, you can find also even yourself, and and of course flower.se for more information on the platform. And there also information about our collaboration on our website or on our respective websites for the listeners to find. So thank you very much for joining in today on the ChargePoint podcast. And wishing you a great day, and we'll be in touch. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. And the same to you.
What an insightful conversation with me from Flower. This episode really showed how fast the flexibility space is evolving, and how EV charging is becoming a central player in that transformation. We learn how EV chargers and co-located batteries are no longer just operational assets, they're becoming active contributors to the grid stability. We saw how Flower's virtual power plant aggregates everything from large-scale batteries to chargers, turning unpredictability into opportunity with the help of technical aggregators like FlexiCharge. And we clarified one of the biggest misconceptions: participating in the flexibility market doesn't disrupt the charging experience. It actually enhances the business case, unlocking new revenue streams while keeping fast charging, fast. If you're a CPO or infrastructure owner, today's episode hopefully made one thing clear: flexibility isn't a nice to have, it's quickly becoming core profit driver for the next generation of charging sites. And if you want to go even deeper into this topic, don't miss the episode 16, where we spoke with another leading BSP, BRP, Fever, also from Stockholm. If you're exploring frequency services, revenue stacking, or want to understand how different BSP model works, that episode will give you more perspective and practical insights. If you enjoyed this episode, please consider giving the ChargePoint podcast a 5-star rating. It really helps more professionals and curious minds discover these stories and join the movements towards zero-emission transport and energy systems. I'm Christophe. Thank you for listening. Thank you to me and Flower for joining us. And as always, stay charged, stay curious, and I'll see you in the next episode.